the Chief Executive for her report.
Thank you. I'd just like to say a few words. Of course, we've been really focused on the long-term plan and submissions have now closed. We've received around 2,000 formal submissions, although some submissions are still coming in, and about 550 submitters wish to be heard. And as you see, we've received a number of petitions that have also increased the number of the feedback that we've got. We had about 11 public meetings, which most of you attended, including a Pacific Island whānau, and 2 sector breakfasts for business and one for the NGO and community sector, which was both were really well attended. There's also been significant strong interest on the social media, with over 13,000 views of the long-term plan on Facebook and around 1,800 comments on our posts and much more on our timeline. The other thing we've had is a number of Lagoima requests for more detailed information. That's really stretched the resources in terms of providing feedback around those. The other thing that we're looking at in collaboration with the Mayor's Office is perhaps a random survey of community views around some of the issues in the long-term plan, which will actually just provide further input into the consultation and the decisions to be made towards the end of June. Just looking at the other issues in my paper, I just wanted to update you that as agreed, we've looked at the end-to-end process around capital expenditure. And the executive team signed off a program to streamline that process, looking at the whole range of things from the beginning in terms of the business cases and the work around that, clarity around how we make change requests, how the process is streamlined throughout the organisation, the decision gates, and really to looking at improving clarity, improving information, streamlining processes, and improving performance and accountability around the capital process, so that we actually deliver on what we say we're going to deliver on, but also that we make sure that we have a rolling process that doesn't mean that we have fewer delays from approvals to actually getting on and delivering on our CAPEX. And finally, I just draw your attention to some of the pilots of work to improve the community interface mechanisms that we have. So they're small pilots, but important ones. One is a pilot payment about dog registrations. So rather than having to front up to a service centre, we're going to pilot the opportunity to do that online, so people have choice around that, but will be an indication of some of the things that we want to do in the future. And the other one is around the Citizen Request for Service mobile application called Snap, Send and Solve. So if you see an issue, a pothole, you can take a picture of it, send it in, it gets a customer service registration, and then we can fix it. So again, that we'll pilot that, but that will be something that it makes it easier for people to raise issues and get them solved over time.
Yay. I like that one. I haven't got a dog. Has anyone got a dog around the table? Are you all up for the pilot? Are you all enrolled for it?
I've been waiting for it for a long time.
Fantastic.
Your dog's looking forward to it. Right, are there any questions? Jimmy?
Thank you, Mayor. I have 2 questions. First question on page 24, regarding to the performance report. This is the kind of the chart in here. I'm particularly concerned 2 issues. One is a capital expenditure, high risk of the under the delivery, because in here variance the $76.2 million below plan. The other one is earthquake rebuild. It's also another high risk under delivery. It's $124.7 million below the plan. I'm wondering whether the staff have any mitigation strategy. If yes, what's the status?
Yes, so that the review of our process around capital expenditure will assist with that into the future. But these 2 graphs cover and the issues are a range of things, so that it includes things that have been delayed for various reasons. So things such as, work on Wainui Sewer project, the Halsall Library Service Centre, so things that are in progress but have been delayed over time. Some of the work around Skirt, where there's been an optimisation process, so that's been pushed out. Some of the Sarah-led projects where we're waiting, to actually make the payment for some of those projects as well. And things that
so use an example for that. That's like the bus interchange. They haven't sent an invoice yet.
No, that's
so
right.
when they send an invoice, we'll make the payment. So, but it shows here as not having met. But I mean, it's not satisfactory. But there are a number of things in these numbers that actually don't show up, like the delay in getting the land for building the library, the delay that we've had in the town hall. So all of these things add up as things that would have been on budget for expenditure now, but haven't been expended. But do you want to highlight just a few of those, the sort of big ticket items?
Yes.
Well, things such as the cycleways, the things that were planned, the libraries. I think Dave wants to make a statement.
It's going to bring it in the Southern Road,
right,
for example, which is one big ticket item.
So that was in the budget,
correct,
but it was optimised out, but it's now back in.
It'll go back into the program over the next 3 years.
Yeah.
So we will better schedule it into our capital program as we move forward into the LTP.
Yeah. Okay.
So where there are things that we can control, we're looking to streamline and improve that process. There are some things that are actually related to other agencies, such as payment for the bus exchange, or our contribution to that, which we need to follow up on, but which are things that are more difficult for us to manage.
Second question.
Thank you, Mayor. Second question regarding to the health and safety issue on page 31. I'm particularly concerned two units. One is a building concern. The other one is OPS. Because we've reviewed in March, the day lost instance is 16. But year to date, only the 27. That's probably past through the 9 months. The other one, OPS, in March is 63. But whole year up to year to date is 269. In here, even the management have in place, the mitigation, the strategy for accident reduction. But I'm particularly concerned when this mitigation strategy has been set up, but why this the 9th month, whether have no any kind of the progress. This is my particular concern.
Yes, so it's hard to say just from the table whether that's one serious incident or whether that's a number of higher incidents that have required days off. And hard to say why it happened in March. I think it might be more useful if perhaps next time I give you some themes of so that you get a better sense of what sort of things are happening. But we have a very strong health and safety focus, and it's important that we do have mitigating factors where we can around particular issues. So I think giving you a bit more information might be helpful.
Yeah, Jamie.
Thank you. And I've said this last time, but I'm still continually impressed with the informative nature of your CE reports. The dashboard approach is very refreshing and it's fantastic. Health and safety as well, kind of a similar question to Jimmy, but same topic, different vein. I don't know if I should actually be preoccupying myself around this, and that's really what my question is. I'm health and safety overload man. You know that we sit on VBase together. My question is though, like for instance here, there's a lot of things here which I would like more information around. I think that lines are more important than dots. So instead of having the last 10 agendas around me, I want to know if 13 medical injuries or something in March is that 10 more than last time? Yes, I can do a calculation, work out the year-to-date average and everything, but you want to see how it's going, and heading down is the direction where we want to go. I expect there probably will be a spike because you've brought a really strong health and safety focus, so that brings the awareness around it, which generally increases reporting. We've got new legislation coming in September. I'm very aware of directors' liabilities and responsibilities. I'm very unclear on what councillor liabilities or responsibilities are. So I love going through this stuff from a governance perspective, but what I hate doing is wasting my time. And do I need to be doing this? Do we need to? How much attention do we need to give it? Is it possible that you could perhaps do a bit of work or digging around that, and we could get a memo perhaps on where directors' responsibilities lie in light of the new legislation coming in September around health and safety. I want to take it seriously, but I also want to make my bullets count.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea. I think we're working
Councillors,
through...
rather, did I say directors? Sorry, councillors.
Yeah, I think that's an excellent idea, and I think that we're working through those issues as well. So,
Okay, thank you.
We can provide a briefing on that.
Great.
Okay, Yanni?
Thank you. I have several questions. One is just chasing up around the Minister of Culture and Heritage. We asked to meet with her, and I think that was an item that was outstanding from a previous report. Have we had any progress around council meeting with her and talking through the Heritage Recovery Program?
I haven't. I don't know if you heard anything.
Sorry, I must have been away when that was raised.
Yeah, I think you were. No, I haven't, but we can follow up again.
Okay, it's just because, I mean, obviously we're seeing, you know, issues around heritage coming up time and time again, public trust building, for example. So I think it is like time critical. We have previously, I think, requested to meet with the Minister 3 times, and we haven't had a single meeting since the earthquake.
Well, no, I did meet with her.
You have?
I
As
did,
a
yes, I know,
council?
and nobody told
Yeah.
me that it was to be a meeting with the entire council. I met with her on a couple of issues that some were related to the general heritage issues, but there were other specific issues that I was meeting with her about. She is the minister that is involved in the earthquake memorial alongside the Associate Minister for earthquake recovery. So I had a reason to meet with her otherwise. So I do apologise that I didn't extend it to every single member of the council, but I will make sure that we extend another invitation to her. Although we did invite her back.
We did.
Yeah, but
Okay.
we'll follow up.
Thank you. Just the second question is the horizontal infrastructure review, which we're eagerly waiting, supposed to be done by the 1st of December last year. When are we going to get briefed on that, given that significance to our long-term plan?
Sure. I'll hand over to Dave to comment on that.
To give you an exact date, I'm not sure. There's correspondence going back between Sarah and herself and ourselves to try and get some agreement around some of the wording and some of the issues. One of the areas there's a bit of historical spend that we need to resolve, or some issues that need to be resolved around there. And the chief executives are meeting over a couple of those sorts of issues, because one of the points we want to do is get what is the cost of the whole program, and so basically there's got to be agreement around not only what the work needs to be done in the future, but also the historical spend. Hopefully, we've had a version of a draft. We are hoping that it'll be within the next probably week, I would imagine, on hoping.
So can we organise at our informal to get a briefing on the first draft and what the issues are?
Well, I think, as Dave said, there's a whole lot of discussion to go to complete and agree on, you know, what was the historical spend, whether it was appropriate, and how that fits with the overall cost of the program, because that then determines what her advice will be.
But the truth is that there's no point having a discussion on the draft when the draft may change. So what's going to be very relevant to council is what her report says. And her final report is not yet written. But Dave, are you expecting it in a week?
Well, it's imminent, put it that way.
Okay.
But there is correspondence still going backwards and forwards between a variety of different people, between Sarah and ourselves. I do understand there was quite a bit of work yesterday done, and there's an agreement around the alignment of some of it. But there's a meeting tomorrow that will look at some of that historical and funding of depreciation, or funding of renewals, which is another issue.
So that could come to an informal on either next Monday, if it were then, or the following Monday, but probably the following Monday.
So I just think if there's discussion about key aspects of that draft that are relevant to us at a governance level, and I take, for example, the changing of earthquake standards, of repair standards through Cabinet, which was done without us being aware at a governance level, then I would expect us to be able to provide some feedback on what the issues of contention were that were being raised and where we wanted to go.
Yeah, so it's not around those sorts of issues, but it is around what was, for instance, what was previously paid for and whether that was within the cost share agreement or not.
Okay, so just related to that, obviously some of us, and I know Glenn, for example, in terms of Pages Road Bridge, knows what's happening there. I'm still waiting for the optimisation program. We had probably 6 to 8 months ago a workshop around, and we were given maps of the areas that we're in and we're out. We were given a list of projects and told there was a process underway to work out what was going to be funded. I think it was like low, medium or moderate or high. There were 3 kind of options. Can we get a list of the projects that are funded so that, or not funded, and the time frame so that we can work that through in terms of the long-term plan? Because I've got people in my community that want to make submissions about what's being done or not being done, but I don't have that information to give them. So when can we get that information around the optimisation program?
Dave?
What we can do is the HEG looked at a list of projects yesterday, but because of some uncertainty around some of the funding, they didn't actually release any program. If I gave you a list of the things that aren't unfunded at the moment, they may be funded as we move forward. And there are discussions happening at Sarah at the moment just to try and release the next tranche of work. So basically they have been itemised into there. The issue, if you go out and say, well, they're not funded it, tomorrow they may be funded. And so that program, we are slowly cutting our way down. Certainly the horizontal infrastructure will, I would imagine within a, well, hopefully by 1 July, we will have a very clear of what's in the program and what's out of the program. We will have had the horizontal infrastructure that will be then the subject, or the horizontal assessment will be then a subject to the Mayor discussing with the Minister. We would then have a clarity around the total funding available, and we have prioritised projects that could be in and out. So maybe it will be a conversation that hopefully we'll be able to clarify by 1 July.
The trouble that Councillor Johansson, I can predict what he's going to say on this occasion, and that is that we have to make some decisions about our capital program probably mid-May. If we are to meet the deadline of our LTP process. So I think that what he wants is to see fed into the process a clear expression of what we're committed to do under the horizontal infrastructure spend, so that we can look at it. I mean, because we're not really getting to assess whether it's in or out at this point, because it's in the separate. It's a parallel process, but it doesn't quite fit with our review of our capital program.
And it would be fair to say the money that we've got in covers our commitment to that program at this point in time.
So I'm just like, I think the community actually need to know what's in and out. So when they come and talk to us,
but the point that Dave's just made is that it might be out at the moment, but it will be in.
Well, we don't know
within a period of time.
At the moment, there's a process to agree on what skirt projects are going to be done. So there's a whole tranche that the government will release, I don't know, end of this week. These are the projects that we're going ahead with. Yahoo, let's go and celebrate. We don't know what they are, and we don't, at a governance level, have any input into the prioritisation of the skirt repair projects that we think are important and to what scope and standard that they're done. Someone else is making
because, as I just
decisions.
said, it's a parallel process.
It doesn't mean that
parallel
it should exclude
universe,
us at a
it might as well
level.
be described as.
We've had the
but the
governance
truth
briefing.
is this was always going to be the challenge of doing an LTP when we've got some unknowns.
It's not the LTP. It
is the LTP, because the optimisation process for HIG or SCIR was in a completely different space than the LTP process. We have allocated funding, our share of the cost share, which is 1.4 billion to 1.14 to the horizontal infrastructure program. We've already allocated that money.
I understand that, and what I'm talking about is the prioritisation within that allocated amount that's currently on budget.
I understand what you're talking about, but what you're asking for isn't readily available. But if you want to see the pictures that were given to you last year that are now out of date, well then fine, you can have those. But you will be misleading your constituents if you tell them that that is what the final story is.
But I'm asking for the updated information that's being used to make decisions around the prioritisation. That's currently happening.
They're still making decisions, is what you've just heard from Dave.
And why are we not having any governance input into those decisions?
Because it's a technical process that they're going through. It is.
The prioritisation system that we've used is, where does that infrastructure sit in delivering the services to the people. So it's actually, are they deep, are they in the CPD, are they the bigger the main's got higher priority than smaller mains? It's actually a very technical, just going through a list of getting priorities 1 to 5. Roading, for example, the priorities around are based on NZTA's manual, and they're either in or they're out, basically, because there's a very set of rules that they can fund or can't fund. It's actually a technical process. Basically, we've got priorities 1 to 5, basically, and we are trying to work and put as much as that through. But basically, obviously, if a project has got a public health contribution and it's got a environmental degradation, that gets a higher priority than one that only has one of those. So, but it is a very technical, mechanical process, really, that's done as part of the way that they've assessed every project under the SCIRT project.
Well, look, this is an unsatisfactory process. So what I would like is for a report to come to the next council meeting where we can actually look at, in the public arena, look at the horizontal infrastructure issues. By then we should have the report. There should be an easy process for us to actually let the public know the issues that we've got. But I think that we are in a parallel process, and that is problematic for us to set our capital program. So, but I'm not going to take any more questions on that one now. So if you'd like to move on to your next subject.
Thank you. I just wanted to check in terms of the land drainage program and the whole kind of flooding task force. I just think it'd be really useful, maybe, again, that this report, is very high level, but that I just wanted to check if we could get, maybe for the next Chief Executive's report, an update on that flooding task force and land drainage program, so that we could be really clear, given that we're going into winter, given that we've got a number of concerned communities over the flooding issues. And I mean, I note just, over the last bit of bad weather or wet weather that we've had, seeing the same areas still ponding, still flooding over a year on, it would be really good to understand just, the progress we've made, what we're doing, because still some of the same concerns are being raised. For example, in Heathcote, the concern was expressed again.
Well, we have a working group
around the SCIRT
which
repairs,
Pauline chairs, and perhaps
worse.
it might be a good idea to get a chair's report onto the council agenda. That might be the way to resolve that.
We've got a meeting on Friday, tomorrow, so for the next meeting we can have a chair's report from there.
Yeah, okay, that would be great.
Okay, thank you.
And people are welcome to feed in anything through me to that subcommittee. So I'm particularly interested in local issues and what each councillor picks up from their community. That's really important that we feed that through.
Yeah, and the flooding task force was a time limited.
Yeah.
It was just a one-off to get things moving, and it's had a significant effect in the particular area that was focused on at the time. But there are other issues that need to be resolved. So if you just work with Pauline...
I'll just send the emails from last year through again.
Yes, you can do that again, but
it's getting the information back, not setting up another working
fine.
party.
But, the councillors are taking a leadership role on these issues. Pauline's got that working group up and running, and I think if you get a chair's report onto the agenda here, then that's the basis for reporting to the whole council. I think we need to take more ownership of issues as councillors rather than relying on the Chief Executive's report.
Yeah, good idea.
Right. Okay, so I'll move that we receive the report of the Chief Executive, and seconded by Phil Clearwater, and I'll put that motion. All those in favour say aye. Those opposed say no. That's carried.